Hello, thank you, Karen Klan mother and Lucic. Is that how I pronounce it?
You did it
Lucic?
well.
Oh yeah,
Lucic.
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 Okay, it's beautiful. Thank you for agreeing to talk with me. Because I connected with you on the New Year's Eve disclosure that Robert had, and I really resonated with all your work that you were talking about. And I was like, wow, who is this lady? And I really wanted to connect. So thank you for agreeing. You seem to have a lot of knowledge about what's happening and a lot of the tribal law, which I'm really interested in, especially with the grandmother matriarchal lineage stuff, because that's yeah, that's the original land law, I guess. Yeah,
Yes. hmm
yes, and your experiences with the tribes and some psychic phenomena you were explaining. So I don't know where you want to start, but like, and also health foods. You have a lot of knowledge on health foods,
Yeah,
and
that's primarily what we do. Yes.
yes, I'm all about that. Although it is hard at times, but it is important to detox and you mentioned water, which is really important. Yeah. So those are the things that I really resonated with.
Okay.
Um, yeah, but I know it's a lot of things. I don't know where you want to start off with, but maybe like because you mentioned something about nanotechnology and someone that yeah, I don't know if you want to start there because that really piqued my interest when you mentioned that.
I can work my way up to that one. Maybe we should work our way up to that.
Okay. Okay.
Well, I can introduce myself formally. I'm known as Karen Ann Lucic
Yeah.
McDonald. So the Lucic comes from my matriarchal side. So it's Zaczek, Busakavage, Lucic. So you go back the mother to the mother to the mother. And that's called the mitochondrial DNA or mtDNA. And my father's side is obviously those McDonald's, Barons, and Mackenzies. Okay. So that's basically who I am genetically, both lines. And it's really important. So, my father called me Karen Ann. So it could be Karen Ann, Nan, Eric, whatever. You want to go backwards, whatever, reverse speech. But
Yeah.
those are what we're known as. And with that comes a full line of hereditary ancestors behind me. So I come from what's called the Vedrus or the Bear Clan, the white tribe. So a lot of people assume I'm red tribes. I'm not Aboriginal and I'm certainly not native. So I have that kind of northern Siberian thing sort
Mm,
of look like Anastasia with the ringing cedars of Russia. So she talks about clan and how do you bring back the matriarchy, how to get back that eternal mother, to go back to the motherland, not the fatherland. So I'm not a patriot, I'm a matriarch. And
mhm.
people confuse those terms all the time. They will use words like freedom, they will use sovereignty, they will take in liberty, which means to take liberties with women.
Oh
So
yeah.
it's the hidden language. Yeah, that's why we had Tucker Carlson up here going, "We're going to liberate Canada," and I'm like, "It's not
Mm,
Canada, and we shouldn't give you it. We're not going to give you any liberties up here." That doesn't fly with me because I know that kind of spell word and
yeah.
casting and sort of Illuminati, maritime, whatever, even common law. A lot of people think that this is common law. It's not. A common law individual is not involving the matriarch. And that's because they have lost their original customs, usages, and laws.
Mhm.
Tribal and treaty law, there are lots. So I've got entire books back here. I've got probably close to 2,000 pages. This is something from Mr. Meredith Quinn. These are books that go back that tell us about the pole shift, that talk about the Dakota star nations and all sorts of things in here. And what's been like, I think this is like the missing books of the Bible. These are the equations, the 666, when the earth will be in alignment in here. The Venus parameters, all sorts of things, burning of tobacco, sacred rites, the Chanupa, the Canupa, all sorts of things, and calendar systems. So this
Oh,
is really what should be taught in schools that isn't. And
mhm.
that's just a little bit. And that's from something. He was part of the Eagle Clan. I'm part of the Bear Clan. So the Bear Clan is in here as well. And so the Bear, Ursa Major, Ursa Minor, Ark of the Covenant, Brown Brew, Three Little Bears, whatever you want to call it. There's always been a myth or a legend, but it's always based on, and again, Ark would be like Arkturian. So ours is the Noah's Arkturian Treaty. And those are star nations or galactics or whatever you call it. Universal law is not really quite the right term because there was multi-nations, not just one. So this is what would be, formed, or the formation of law, the land, of which comprised you have tribes and clans, which comprise your nations. And again, there were 12 different nations. So you always see that. And then the addition of the 13th clan mother, she's the one in charge.
Yeah.
So so I have a little bit of knowledge in each one. I may not be an expert in every one, but I'm responsible for my customs, my bloodlines, which are AB positive, and so are my children. I'm responsible for all my descendants or hereditaries. So very, very important. However, the 13th is the head clan mother. She's the eternal mother, the great mother, the great matriarch that Moses, or known in Arabic, is called the great Musa of the clan mother. So this book, there's a lot of stuff in here that goes way beyond the first 5 books of the Bible, guys. And these are like those missing books that they hid. But again, having said, tradition is oral. Okay. Yeah. I don't have to sign a contract when I bring children into this world, and that sort of thing. So it talks about different, things that we need to go in the law of gifting, right? Life is a gift. We should be gifting. If you want to do something for that, well, fine. If you want to barter something off, or I'll give you something for this. But nowhere did they say we're going to have, currency and start selling children and DNA, organ trafficking, taking all our resources, water, land, wildlife, and confiscating it for themselves. And the worst part right now is that almost, not everyone does, almost a lot of the people come from the original customs, usages, and tribes of those clans. But what happens is when you look at the demographics, the population of the planet, out of 8 billion, probably 5% are viable. Out of that, only 30% were deemed human. The rest are hybridized or of different foreign DNA or mutations. And especially anyone that took the, as you know, injection. I'm a nurse. That's why it says Q. That stands for quantum nurse. And what happens, or they took the up the nose, that PCR test. Those were not tests. Those were placements and vectors of injecting the foreign material and basically tracking devices. We call them biosensors. So nanotechnology, femtech, pentatech, all sorts of things that have the ability to simply, in simple terms, replicate. There's venoms, all sorts of stuff in there. There's hardware, there are computer chips that are assimilating. And that's part of the things that we do as we part of the education. So one is to make sure, how do we keep our DNA in? So a lot of the supposedly women and men took those different elements in the last couple of years, or they're on prescriptions, whether they're over the counter or not. People are putting patches on. They can get it at a pharmaceutical. It's just as deadly as something that someone would give you a script for, the MD. So those are some of the things in here. So mine is really about getting people educated, but I'm responsible for keeping what my babas did here. You get to that, Diboisha, Sasibo and all that, make great work, like journalistic. Okay, so, but now what I do is I've upgraded that. So stuff that even my baba taught me, in there, let's say for cooking, now we learn more to uncook, so it's like raw foods, it's superfoods, it's the art of living. Okay, so that's what it is. It's about learning how to uncook. Don't adulterate your food, or don't put anything in between the creator and you. You're learning to co-create. So love is not the law. Peace is not necessarily the law. Truth is. But we are responsible for living not only authentically, but in authenticity. And when you break those commandments or the creator's law, or what we call those peace accords, there were 6 of them. So I mentioned Noah's Ark. Another one might be Solomon's Seal. Some people know about down east, the wampum belts. Others might be like blacks, Arabs, and Israels have basically the Solomon Seal, as I mentioned. Another one might be Canes of Authority. There were a lot of different ones, Palladian or Palador, Troy. All of us agreed to live here, like having a smorgasbord. We're going to go out camping and hopefully make this a better place. That doesn't happen. And when you get bullies that come in with their draconian methods, and then people forget who they are, and we get that people have been scooped up and stuff. So you'd mentioned about being on the reserves and stuff. I have gone to reserves. I don't live on a reserve because I'm not from their tribe, right? Yeah. I'm not Aboriginal. I'm not Native. I'm with the white tribal clan mothers, And the white tribal clan mothers have just as much jurisdiction in the courts as anyone else here. And we actually have court cases up here, whether you deem it to be in Canada with Judge C.C. Kerbin or Judge Urban down in the States back in the 1800s. I have those court cases that they know pre-flood and, Tartarian. We're talking about pre-flood existence here. So when this is the law, this does not change because it's not in a Bible, because it's not supposed to be in there. And quite frankly, if they'd followed their own laws, living naturally, we wouldn't have half the problem. And they do refer to tribes in there. They do refer to star nations. They refer to a lot of galactic things. The Pleiades, Siren, all sorts of things are in these books, including, let's say, using natural methodologies. I mean, how many of us use, let's say, essential oils? I'm one. I teach essential oils. I'm an aromatherapist as well. I'm also a herbologist. I also play with, lots of things that lots of people do. But again, these are very dense. They have a certain frequency. These are much higher. So I can convert all the plants into an oil. So for example, a drop of peppermint. We could have the peppermint plant. We could have peppermint tea. Or I could make 1 drop of peppermint essential oil, which will equivalent to 26 cups. So then it makes much more sense to use things like, and it's not aromatherapy, it's liquid food. So we can marinate someone, or they used to call anoint, whatever. So we can get into this kind of thing. So my background is that I arrived in what you call Kamloops in the Secwépemc Nations. People know as British Columbia. They think in Canada. Again, it wasn't given to the Columbians, and it certainly isn't part of the Britannia or British Corporation either, or the Crown, because no clan mother ever signed off anything. And a treaty is not a business contract. So you'll hear about Grenada treaties and President Eisenhower, and they got treaty number 6 area here and number 7 and number 8. And as bad as you have provinces up in Canada, they have just as bad where they think reserve and territories. Well, guess what? Clan Mother didn't authorize that either. Those are what you call natives or aboriginals. They have abdicated their responsibility and joined the colonists, put them into reserve, signed agreements, and now some are complaining. But that becomes an issue. Okay, so we don't pay taxes. You're not supposed to have driver's licenses or permits, all sorts of things. This is common sense when you can be in full autonomy and responsibility for yourself or sustainable. So I grew up there, and after about a year, my grandfather, who was Peter J. Buzikavich and Anna Buzuk, he was in the military, actually, in the Canadian Army. And so I was brought up learning that I was from the Church of the Firstborn. Very, very important. Okay, so that means I am the oldest female of the oldest female, and in my blood lineage, it goes back 45,000 years.
Wow.
Okay, so I'm the oldest Rh positive genetic line. Okay, so we're like the new souls on the back, but we were the last drop off. Where some of the tribes and stuff like that, they might be more like the older and mature souls. Not that much different. The only one that taught a lot about that, I will give you and your audience some references. At Project Incension, so it's I-N, you don't ascend, you go inside. So Incension is on Rumble and on YouTube still. There's 50-some videos we taped every week for over a year. And over that course, we met with different people from the MECBAC, like different people there. I met with Sergeant Daniel Brad McBullen, people all over. So when there were incidents that needed to be dealt with, CERN blew up, we're having troubles with the magnetics on the planet, they would brief me or call me. Dumps to be cleaned out, issues that showed up, anything that would deem an international incident, they would contact me. Okay, and so later on, as I grew up, we moved to Saskatoon. And so I grew up and attended the University of Saskatchewan. So went to the U of S, as we say up here. And then I went and I took nursing. So I became a registered nurse in the neonatal intensive care unit for basically 10, 15 years. I was also the neonatal, but the union rep for the Saskatchewan Union Nurses, and I had 1,200 nurses under my wings for those years. And so I saw a lot of things that were in the allopathic field that were totally against the core of not only my being, but what I knew to be healthy. And so from those experiences, and then you learn very quickly that, you know, it's like being an unpaid lawyer, right? And again, we know that those guys are foreign agents now. Anyone that has a bar, it's been dissolved and then now can be picked up for giving their allegiances to someone else and actually leaving their own bloodlines, their own clans, and their own tribes. So, you know, there are lots of different people out there that are now making some very hard decisions up here. And so while I, you know, went into, actually, I started a little bit of hairdressing, a little bit of like, you know, interior decorating, because that was in my, my relatives had that. So I did interior decorating, which put me through nursing. And then at some point I said, that's enough. I had a back injury. I had 2 young children that needed to be looked after. And unfortunately, their father, John Paul Kwok, who was a Jesuit trained lawyer through Pope Pius X, was the anesthetist to what I am. And the children started disclosing severe abuse of every different kind. And basically what happened is the children were targeted for our bloodline. So they put them in and they groom them. And they'll put them with other people. They will do what they want. And you very quickly learn that the system is corrupt. I've had a sheriff break my arm in the courtroom because I knew all about their maritime and their admiralty and all the different things you see there. But what happens is that common law is not the law either. You have to be able to stand with that treaty and be at peace with people. Okay, so that's part of it. Is everyone thinks that they have a jurisdiction and title? They don't. And those people also right now are deemed enemies of the nations. And so the new forces that are international, they're combined with the Earth Alliance, but also on and off the galactic international forces. There are many different federations of this and that you hear about in councils of this. And those particular ones also are in a new, I'll just say named or put out there now in the last couple of years, but they've been around forever. Quite frankly, they've been around for thousands of years before, you know, just even the 1950s with President Eisenhower and his Grenada treaties and doing illegal business with some of these foreign draconian type of entities. And they never had anyone's permission to start giving people off for trading or experiments or organ harvesting or, you know, doing these little, you know, trials for drug companies and stuff. So having said that, we went in and these different treaties came in and I went, that's enough. And so I actually, like I said, would stand up against these people. And there was lots of child, you know, molestation, all sorts of abuse trials going on there. The famous one in up here is called the Martinsville case. So you can look it up on CBC, or called Satanic Panic, with one of my, later became one of my close friends, was former Constable Claudia Bryden. Now, these are the people that we needed to, because there are many wonderful men and women in these forces. They're either blackmailed to stay in there or they're in over their heads. But they're rising up and they're now also cleaning also from the inside out a bit. Okay. Yeah. But that new force is referred to as the Secret Space Force. And you will see people like Pascal Najati on Rumble at NutraSwiss. There was a huge thing that 800 million, I mean, this is huge. 800 million people saw this little 5-minute video. And it was called Cutting the Head of the Snake Off, basically cutting off what's happening in Geneva, these different headquarters and stuff. So if you look at him, and another friend of mine is Dr. Astrid Steckelberger. So these are the different people that I've been dealing with. Some of them are veterans. In his case, his father was one of the founding members of the WEF, the World Economic Forums. He tried to go against that, tried to back out, and they assassinated him. So don't assume everyone's in the same boat here.
Yeah.
So he became a filmmaker. He worked in the Swiss Air Defense Force. And because of his injuries through 3 of those injections and his loved ones, I've been called in to deal with and assist with him, because I also pioneer different forms of medicine, libraries, and databases. And I work with someone that's absolutely a genius. That's why they call it genius, because we're looking at your genetics, your genes of ISIS, but genius.
Yeah.
Called Ryan Williams, and his site is called Insight Health Apps. So we have many different forms, and Not all apps are bad. Okay. So some of these apps work off grid. They're downloaded through just the Wi-Fi, and that's it. You cut it off. It's like running your software. They will run without electricity. They will run on my solar panel, and they basically are no different than an EEG or wearing a mood ring. But through sound waves, it will work on the same principle as solfegial notes. So we can look at stuff and put water on very fun, different, what we call remedy plates, and make remedies and stuff. So I'll get into that a little bit later. So these are basically like Tesla and oscillating, or what you hear about replicator plates.
Okay.
I can put on herbs, I can put on oils, I could put on my favorite crystals and repotentize them or imprint them, or what's called transference. So basically, if I had an oil over here, I could resonate that oil into a glass of water, per se. So as weird as it is, I could put my water on here and I replicate the energy of my essential oil and make this rose water. And then I can drink the water.
Can you taste it?
A lot of times you'll be able to taste the difference in water.
That's so cool.
When we do it from a distance, that's called telemedicine, or you'll see a lot of famous, seers, psychics, whatever you want to call them, doing readings, and they're actually doing this in the background. So are your naturopaths, and so are some of the medical doctors, MDs, and nurses now doing that.
Okay.
In the background. So we have a whole thing, and I'll get into that in a bit, but that's where we're doing different testing, and it will operate on your phone. And like an ultrasound, you can hit that Rife or radionic code. And just like the opera singer, you can muscle test like this and see what comes back from you. But you can also write note and get rid of viruses, bacteria. We did that with kidney stones, right? You use ultrasound for that. So it's a wonderful form of what's called quantum or energetic or vibrational medicine. Okay, so I don't need to go into rooms. And again, they're done with caution. They have to be done with caution because a lot of people are just doing them. They've never been trained like many of us were in the old days. And with machinery that now, even though on my iPads, this software could be $50, it could be $200, it could be $2,000. But in the old days, I still have the technology where it cost me $50,000 investment to go to the university. So we have an integrative medical university called the IQUIM by Dr. Paul Duran, which I'm part of, which we actually put out quantum doctors and PhDs and masters. Okay, so there are holistic, integrative, natural medical things where we're trained in live blood cell, we're trained in dark field microscopy, we're trained in homeopathy, we're trained in herbs and oils. So I learned to triage without that. So I took the best of what I got. So the only thing really is even a naturopath doctor is trained exactly as a medical doctor. We have naturopaths, we do surgery, we triage, we have medical transfers of function, all sorts of things. So a lot of people don't realize that. And so the quantum doctors are a new breed, which have been out here. We've been out in these fields now for probably about 15 years. So it's not new because this technology that I'm showing you is actually on the pyramids. So are the oils, so are the recipes that I trained with Dr. Gary Young. So I brought this in when my children are very young due to my own back injury, which, incapacitated me. And I went, surgery doesn't work. Your drugs don't work. This system does not work. It's broken. And actually what's broken is me because I actually went into that system. Right.
Yeah.
So then, I studied energetic medicine and every touchy-feely, Reiki little thing, crystal thing I could look at for years. However, having said that, those aren't sacred geometries. These are initiations. They're secret, and they're usually using the wrong kind of geometry. And so they actually invert that, and they have been. So a lot of people are out there thinking they're doing the practice when they really shouldn't be doing anything. And these days we don't touch anyone because of the transference. So anyone that's been injected has the metals in them become basically short-term radioactive. So they're carrying like radioactive transmittable materials, which people think it's shedding, but it's not really. It's transmitting, but it's like having sexually transmitted diseases. So those of us that are clean, even though we got a strong immune system, it's pretty hard when you have like a 5-6G walking tower in front of you transmitting everything that they've got. And that includes venoms and everything else. So a lot of people are coming down with what we call contact, and I'll just say axonosis if we want to put this on YouTube. So
Okay.
on there, okay, so you're picking up those same things that were injected into the people. And so one of my colleagues, he's absolutely amazing. He's probably one of the most foremost authorities in almost anything, including live blood. One of the best scientists, researchers, and doctors I've ever met, who was a cousin to young living Gary Young, is Dr. Robert O. Young. So I suggest you guys all look him up at the PH Miracle. What happened is they, like my office, were attacked by the deep state, one, to see what we're doing, and two, to stop us from educating any further. So we're also sometimes the most persecuted as well. And I don't think that it's victimization or targeting, or I get over that. But the whole thing is that a lot of these things are out there. And again, it's been suppressed technology. We're not bringing you anything that's absolutely astoundingly new. But for the most part, when we look under people with microscopes and we poke you off and use cover slips and electron type of technology, what will happen is that basically with this kind of thing and using, slides and cover slips and stuff and testing people's blood, which everyone should know, they must know their blood type. This is an essential thing because a lot of people are telling me they're hereditaries, and guess what? They don't have a hereditary blood type. That's one of my first things to when I talk to people that claim that they think they have claims. And when they have taken those things like those certain injections here, this way or this way, they're deemed not a human, like a Homo sapien. They're not human anymore. They're deemed a hyborg. And the Supreme Court has called them that. They said they're not human. They don't have rights.
What?
And they don't have rights. And it's called, which I did at Inside Out with former lawyers, Washington, D.C., and Yale trained lawyers like Alfred Weber at News Inside Out. I did probably 15 videos over the last few years. The Supreme Court has said they are now deemed a Homo hyborg genesis. Their genes are hyborg.
Wow.
They're hijected, mutated. And guess what? They don't have it. Not only that, neither do their children. Okay, so when you stop a lineage, it stops here. That's the way the law goes. And we have to look at things along that line. So having said that, I got to meet with a lot of people, judges, lawyers, sheriffs. My cousin up here is Sean Buckley, who's the head of what's called the National Citizens Inquiry. So it was all across Canada, the major cities. All summer they did that, getting evidence like the Nuremberg too. Okay, but having said that, you can't be a citizen, can't be a Canadian because they don't know who they are. This is not even like they think, oh, I'm going to make a new word, Canada and stuff. Okay, it was original tribe areas. And there were constitutions that were based on the 5 nations before they decided to mutate it. Even the idea of having republics and patriarchs. You don't think there were people here for millions of years before 1776 on whose calendar? It's not our calendar either. We don't operate on 12-month lunatic calendars. We have the 13th. And we worked on everything that was tied into the great mothers. And so even people thinking it's Turtle Island because it looks like 13 pieces on a turtle shell. Again, it was called the Americus Empire. So again, the terminology that a lot of people use, like I said, it's like res slang in a bit. And, we still have to, have, love and compassion for people. But basically, respect is earned, rights are earned. No one just automatically gets that. And right now, the Space Force has been deemed and blessed and trained for many years in treaty law, tribal law, and even to common law, but to the Creator's law. So they're taking new oaths and stuff like that because I was in some of those meetings a couple of years ago when this was all on the up and up going through. So again, we need to look at that. And that's what the role of the clan mother was. You can look up with a C, and you'll see a lot of stuff like what did the Micmacs do and what did the Iroquois, or the Mohawks and all these kind of things. You'll see backgrounds into that, but a lot of them are missing what the other treaties were. And again, we work together. No one has any more authority than the other. And it had to be 100% complete. All 13 had to agree. So if one abstained or said, I don't think this is benevolent for all of us or for us, we couldn't go forward. So trying to get, 13 women, and then they appointed their chiefs and dragons. This is not a democracy. This is not a corporation where you need 51 or 65%. And that's how business operate. And that's why people do not know. They want to go into voting because right now they're pre-selected anyway. Your vote means nothing. And part of what, they're doing for Gitmo and picking up the special forces is all the people in the corruption of tampering with all of these type of things. And this is a worldwide operation, right? It's international. Nobody is going to be, no one's above getting diplomatic community and getting a free ride on this, including the nurses and doctors that allowed their clients and patients to take this kind of horrendous type of thing that was pre-planned. And having an excuse, I'm sorry, I didn't read the insert, does not cut it.
Mm-hmm.
So those are the type of things that we have to cut the wheat from the chaff. So people have the choice to, like the Hopi Mayan prophecy. You're taking the spiritual end or you're taking that allopathic materialistic, which, there's no excuse that I can't read a label. I don't know how to forage. I don't know the difference between an heirloom seed and a Monsanto seed. Doesn't cut it here anymore. So there's 4 classes of people. Like there's 4 classes of food, basically. A therapeutic, wild, and sauvage. You have to go forage. It's like having a virgin. Guys will get this point. It's like having a virgin. You know what that is? It's special. Okay, so we're virginized. And it means the bloodline was virginized. It's clean. The women of the spirit, we were called the women or the queens of the heaven in the scriptures. The angels or the angles, our DNA, the angles of pure light. That means we knew what was on our tartans and coat of arms and heralds and mottos and all that. You could tell who someone was by looking at, again, the colors they wore or the arms that they bore. It's not any different. So, we don't date. We have beloveds that you mate and procreate with, right? We don't God a child or goddess a child. It doesn't even sound right. You create children and you co-create and you do it for procreation. Even the way the tone is, even in this, anglicized language sounds better. But so that's more the education I came out of. But in here recently, there are many things to be brought back. And in order to establish those allodial titles, or what I call, or Anastasia would call those sacred kin domains, not Freemasonry, free domes, or, that type of thing, for the kings, or kingdoms, again, they were kindred. Okay. Mm-hmm. And so they were basically like eco villages. So like I said, we need to get back to basics here and learn about spring water. So we send people, like when I was on the road with David Avocado Wolf, right? Findaspring.com. It's imperative. He's gone through 400 of the top springs. I've been to a lot of them up here too. We test them. Springs come up from thousands of years of being cleaned underground, hundreds and hundreds of miles that come up under pressure. They're not surface stuff. So most people don't know the difference between a spring and a creek or a well, but there's a big difference.
Yeah.
No, they're not dirty, and no, they don't have to have bacteria and everything else. But, I said, go learn about water. That's the primordial life. That's the cosmic mother. And there's an excellent book, and actually many of my books back here have to do with water technology, because that's what I use here, as I talked about, is using the spring water. I only drink spring water. So if I have to go up to my springs and go get it every couple of weeks, then if you want to play with it and add your lemon, or you add your chlorine dioxide, or what is MMS, or you want to use some baking soda in it, or you want to use shungite crystals, or whatever you want to put in, that's nice. That's not a problem. Or put some extra oxygen or hydrogen peroxide drops. Those are great. And sometimes we need it these days, especially the way things are coming at us. So things is, there's an excellent book called Water and Salt, The Essence of Life. And I think this should be something everyone should have, that in the Anastasia books here. So that's by Dr. Handel. So take a look at that. Okay. You'll learn a lot. That's what's sustaining you. And half of this is in therapies at the back here. Soleil, neti pots, enemas, besties. I could add a few more different ideas, how to put salt packs, salt poultices, float tanks, saline here, nebulizing. And of course, my favorite thing now is called yoni, or vaginal steams. So if you don't know about these, this is very important. Yoni is like the Eastern word for vagina, or we would say bannock or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
Yoke, like Tai Chi, Tai yoke in Asian. So
Oh.
all of us have a word, and you know what? This is what's missed. So
Yes.
I actually went to the Yoni school. I'm a peri-steam hydrotherapist too.
Wow.
So yeah, yes way. Well, I went to two of them actually.
Yeah.
So I'm a graduate. I went to basically Red Tent. You've heard of the Red Tent or Walk the Right Path, right? The Red Road.
No.
Red Tent Wellness. And
Okay.
another one is called Steamy Chick.
Yeah.
Steamy Chick.
I like that.
Okay, so Lisa and Kelly have got great things. They're on Facebook, and I really encourage people to go in and take a look. So we do things like navel or belly button candling, ear candling,
Okay.
face rating, all sorts of fun things like that. And that's where you learn stuff. Okay. Yes. And then the other thing is called, like I said, we have what's called Yoni pearls. And actually, I'll just open one up now. I usually make my own.
Okay.
Because I can make one in just seconds here, but this is called a Yoni pearl. I also teach people, instead of using stuff like ivermectin and nicotine drugs,
Mm-hmm.
they don't know how to go into the kitchen. They'll go to a drugstore rather than opening up their cupboards. It's ridiculous. But this is called a Yoni pearl. It looks like a little potpourri, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's like a herbal tampon. It's put with some water, grease it up, and you put it in the vagina for 3 days, and you pull it out. So that's how they did parasite cleansing for women over 3 months, 2 to 3 months. So every 3 days they put a new one in, except when they were menstruating.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, makes sense.
What's
So
it made
why did they take the week off? Because they were menstruating, tied into the moon cycle.
Exactly.
Right. So that's how you do parasite cleansing. That, or we would do what's called aromatherapy or essential oil suppository. So I basically put this in some liquid coconut oil or some cacao butter, and you would put them in the freezer in little ice cube trays or something, and then, put them in there. So this is one of the, I think, the important things. And I will leave also you guys with something, because we talk a lot of things about eating naturally, eating healthy, eating that raw food. And raw doesn't mean it's cold. It means the opposite of war. It means nothing has adulterated it. It's in the raw, savage creator's form. And so what we do is it's got ideas for people for cleansing, for detoxing parasites. Marcus Rothkrantz and Kara Brotman have done a phenomenal job here. This is free. You could buy it, but there's a free version on his simple thing. And one of the reasons I wanted to bring it into is it talks about superfoods like cacao and sacred cacao. Yeah. And this is coming from a man, you guys. This is actually how to clean up here, not only how to do exercises, but more importantly, how to do enemas. And so I think that's actually one of the most life-changing experiences, because I am actually what's called a colon hydrotherapist. So we need to get rid of these little parasites and what the signs are, which is every disease. So cancer is that, diabetes is that, fasting is in here. And of course, the most important thing is how to do an enema.
Yeah, right.
Or kalima. And so if you go to Marcus Rothkrantz at The Healthy Life, you will see that. And again, when we're talking about healing things and talking about your face, you would think in terms of, let's say, traditional Chinese medicine. This is my liver. These are, again, Ayurvedic methodology. So we're all saying the same thing, just in a different language. So in Ayurvedic, which I'm going to do some stuff, it's called Panchakarma, Panch, karma, is where they take the top 5-10 therapies. So I say enema, they say basti, So you can pour herbs and oils even just over your forehead like a spa, things you can do at home. I'm all about doing it, but doing it very quickly at home and not spending a lot of money. And of course, the number one thing for people these days is to get what we call be an alkalarian, which is to get back to, I call basics, but what people will call pH or call acidity, a state of negativity. Like a battery, people around you drain you. You pick up their energies. You bring them around. We carry these things. They're not always, again, all our fault, but these are things that we can do. And until people learn to, get their stuff together, they have very little idea of what they're doing. So it's basically with something called litmus paper. And this litmus paper is basically, you can pee on it first thing in the morning. It's either a little stick or a roll. And I'll just get you a piece of paper and I'll show you a little bit of what it looks like here. Because this is what I do. This is all I spend is time teaching people to get into a state of being happy, positive, right? Is this all negative that all this stuff is going around? Yes, there's some like, collateral stuff happening that shouldn't be. But some of this stuff has been deep embedded, 20 to 200 miles beneath the surface of this planet. That people have been building underground, bunkers for many world war things that need to go. But here is, for example, what I call right there. You can see the litmus paper. Okay, so that's what we get. Everyone gets a roll. You take a little bit off. You pee on it first thing in the morning, and you need to come up into a state of alkalinity, which is up here, which is 8. Okay. Anything below 7.5. So it's almost like chakras. Can you see that when you're sick, you're in that yellow chakra? That's not where we should be. Okay, so that's where these people are. They're in a state here of being acidic down here. Oops, my finger's going the wrong way. There it is. Okay, so in here, that's that acidity level. We need to get you vibrating up and higher and higher. So that's a little of what I do. And I made computerized with Ryan. Ryan developed the program, but we actually can measure all these things on computers now. And we can measure the viruses, the bacteria. We can scan you through sound waves, look for all sorts of cool things here. So we can actually program them in. So I can actually to see if your chakras are aligned in. And so we simply just put them on our phones or iPads, and they can convert instead of doing this, going into 10,000 things. So like I said, there's a lot of things people have never heard of, including like you can buy like these yoni steams I talked about.
Oh, okay. Oh, Blue Lotus. Yeah.
Yeah, but you can make one too. So I think that's really important. So, that's why I'm so intent about teaching people, because even when we're saying about colonics, can you see the auras in the colon?
Yeah, right. I've never seen that before. Yeah.
Okay, so that connects into the iridology, which connects in the teeth, which connects into reading someone. So these are basically home or self scanners.
Yeah.
And so Ryan gave me the cake. He developed the program. And so a lot of us do this now. So it's the easiest form of it. And we basically put our voice into it and our picture, and it comes out like a thermal imaging, like similar to what you call an aura scan, right?
Yeah.
And so we can see actually what's going on.
That's cool.
So if you don't have a field or, you're picking up something, then there are issues that we need to look at, And so, like I said, without having to say things here, this is the kind of stuff I can look for. Okay. So that's what I'm also looking for these days, is to see who's been injured and what we can do to assist.
Yeah.
Because like I said, it's like, it's like someone spitting or vomiting or a snake spitting out all over you. We don't need that venom everywhere and that negative energy. So part of what I'm doing here is to get people educated. And I will just show you again what these yoni pearls, we'll just go through that again. So again, you don't have to call me. You can look up what a yoni pearl is. You can look up what yoni steam herbs you can use on your chair. You can use it. And can you see here? I just used actually a chair. You can use a chair for the beach. You can use a wood chair. You can use some wooden ones. It's not rocket science. So look up those things. And again, the other thing, like I said, we talk about is doing all sorts of like enemas, colon hydrotherapy, making your own Kalima boards, and getting people into a state of health. So we measure crystals. I can look at you like similar to infrared. So those are the kind of things that I really want to, get people back and figure out what they should be doing, get them into a state of, healthiness. And like one of the other things, like I said, is to simply doing wraps, like herbs and oils here. We do, oh, by the way, that's a horse. So horses, dogs, children, can you, I just saw a little one there. Can the children say, hey, I think I'm a little deficient, mom, in like vitamin C today, or I haven't been outside enough. I haven't had enough vitamin D, or I'm a little on copper or whatever.
Yeah.
Those are the kind of things, or whatever, something where people have got animals. They haven't been deworming their animals with natural herbs, or a lot of the animals have been injected. Guess what they're doing? So these are things that we can do for children, pediatrics. And so safely, common sense, not that I think a lot of people have it, but you wouldn't obviously hook up people with sensors. So, but we can do what's called remote. So we can actually remote view them. So almost like looking at you like iridology or like live blood cell, We can get the energy scan off of it, and through very advanced technology developed at MIT and other places like that, the space program. And everyone's been hearing about these regen beds. Well, this is the technology that we're using. It's like Starstruck. I feel like Mrs. Bones, right? I'm scanning you, right? But I'm doing a read. So I can look at things too. Do we want to look at this lifetime? Do you want to look at ancestral issues? Do you want to look at past lives? Do you want to look at your nutrition? Are you just feeling stressed out today? Do you have a spine issue? So I literally can go into the scanners and look at that. So I don't have a health card, and gosh knows I'd never need to step into a medical hospital. And I've smashed my knees, my ankles, everything, and done these kind of things, emergency triage situations, without using the allopathic doctors or doing orthopedic surgery. So once you know what you're doing, mind is the matter. There are ways that we can do it naturally, and there are ways to set things back into place. You built your system in your mother's womb in 9 months. You don't think you can do it again? For the most part, you can. Probably 95% of the conditions on this planet could be, again, put into a state of optimal health. And that's where we come in. So part of it is affirmation. It's positive thinking. It's beyond neurolinguistic talking and self-talk and tapping and things like that. But part of it is also dealing with the emotions, whether from this lifetime or, those people around us. So that's a little bit of what I do, and I educate. So a large part, like right now, I'm suggesting people, obviously with what's going on with as they think spike protect and stuff, is getting people healthier and make them feel better. And so my entire therapy and clinics and centers have changed. I'm basically out here with campers and stuff, fully loaded, like mobile frontline nursing, feel like the Cirque du Soleil. And so part of that will be going to gatherings, and part of that will be meeting with the people. So quite often I've been to the freedom rallies, and I've been on the stages out here with some of the different doctors. We talk a lot about 5 and 6G. We talk a lot about Wi-Fi, using copper and electrical culture, getting heirloom seeds, getting hydroponics, putting your gardens below the ground, not on the ground, below the ground, like a pit house that the First Nations used to do for a reason. Using copper that we have here, and some of these are called air tamers or air purifiers, and these are something that we wear that's like a baby electrical field, like a taser. And what happens is that this blows negative ozone all the time. So especially great for any kind of air pollution or air contamination or geoengineering coming through the field that's not burning up on my little plasma reentry field here. So these are very, very important these days, especially. So a lot of us have been subjected, as you know, you're down under. I did a lot of stuff years ago with Gene Decode, and I did some shows with him. And so, very well aware of what's going up in Pine Gap, and, cleaning the areas. We talked with the Kiwis and the Maoris and different original tribes.
Yeah, nice.
So those are kind of the things that we want to do. And again, that's a mistake I see. I see a lot of people where they're adopting other tribes because they don't know their own, or they want to be adopted in or named in. They're still lost souls. You're still like what's called a second world citizen, like in the public or private, doesn't matter. It means you don't know who you are. And that's the same thing with common law, because you don't know who you are. And so it's like for the commoners, and that's a big mistake. So when they're teaching this second world, or like women as second class citizens, it's like being a utility chicken. And that's not right. Because we have the ability to go back into being, first class in there. So third class, like you've heard, third class country. Well, it's really the women they're talking about. And so a third class would be classified as an inhabitant. So first world is like a noble savage, or that's the way they refer to me, technically in a state of grace. I'm not your royal highness. I'm not part of the royalty.
Yeah.
I'm not part of the draconian or the O negative blood types. And I'm certainly not on my high horse, but they deem it to be in a state of peace or a state of grace. Okay, so that's usually, how they're referred to. So I still have the entitlement, and I was met, and I have been talked to, and I am recognized by the international military and the forces. If someone really was one, they would be, authorized. And again, it's not something you go out to get your head chopped off on, and you can't just be one. But everyone is from the women. They're all from, like I said, the majority, if you're not cloned or hybridized, or genetically synthetics, or I have a lot of people. There are probably at least 40, 50 blood types minimum that I know here. And the majority have been hybridized or played with, in Pine Gap or Area 51. Does not mean you're from the original tribes and have a say at the table. And so once a mother or those set of people have signed an agreement, that cuts off all the children. So a lot of people don't realize that their great grandparents have signed agreements years ago. And that's it. So there are very few that are still what's deemed to be hereditaries. And that's when you have the authority to do something. And again, that's knowing what the law is. And the people at the top know exactly what the law is. It's the people that, for the most part, don't. So mine has been putting that out. So like I said, people can look that up at Project Ascension. I did one at BitChute. So if you go to BitChute and just put Clan Mother, you'll see a bunch of videos will come in. I did with Dr. Dina Churchill. I also did one with a Navy JAG, a Judge Advocate General, Larry Levan. So we did everything from hieroglyphics to Moses to walk-ins to all sorts of things that were pre-flood. And so they acknowledge who we are, what we are. I'm the 13th grandmother, and talking with that, he talked as well, like specifically out to the Ekankar and to the Veka and the Ek masters, people that are in there from different nations. So those videos are there. And while you're at BitChute, you can look at my other show. It's called Quantum Chit Chat.
Oh,
and
cool.
So Quantum Chit Chat, I've done it with Michelle Martin. She approached me. She's another one that assists with Ryan Williams at Inside Health App. She's the UK version. She's into the shamanic part as well. And so again, we use the biofeedback simply as a tool, an assessment tool. It's not the be all and the end all. And we're not working with AI. So we'll get very clear. And I'm not wearing like wearables and all sorts of stuff that people are keeping nanotech and all sorts of weird stuff on them. I'm very much so. There's a wonderful, wonderful channel. We talked right before we went on the air, right, Rose, about Sabrina Wallace. And Sabrina Wallace is an incredible woman. She's been through a lot. A lot of these people have been abused as children. They've been tortured, and they've been put into what they call these augmented or gifted or super soldier projects. And a lot of these people have been co-opted and stuff too. And they've been playing with them, what people call targeted individuals. And so she's of an incredible couple bloodlines. And what she did is she's, trying to help her children and herself and going off grid and, gardening and again, doing things naturally. But prior to that, being disabled 20 years ago by them, is that what happened is that she was one of the leaders with above top secret clearance, and her parents were part of the deep state working for those, again, nefarious Project Salus people to transhumanize people. So the nanotechnology, the biosensors, the whole hybrid cyborgenation of these people was who she was part of. She's no longer part of that. And so she's got a group on Odyssey. It's called Synergist, because we're not psychic defense or psychics. It's psionics, PSI, and then NY, so called synergy. Okay. And she's all about doing it naturally. And, you would say like Tai Chi and meditation and breathing and clean air and getting grounded and getting barefoot and wearing natural clothing and not all the polyester. Even that, even I'll put on this is a little bit of actually minerals. So that could be my raw cacao today.
Oh, that's awesome.
Right? Yeah. You can get paints, you can do eco-friendly painting and all sorts of stuff. But my gosh, if women want to get into war paint, my gosh, get some raw paint instead. You can make some beautiful things actually with spices and stuff like that. Beautiful greens and golds, and raw cacao does wonders mixed with some blueberries every once in a while, or dragon fruit if you like the hot pinks.
Dragon fruit, yeah.
Amazing. Anyway, so those are the kind of things, like I said, again, there's a natural version before everything was bastardized. So we can go almost anywhere you'd like to, I think, from that. I can play tunes if you want down the road. But or we could screen share here if that's something that you want to look at some of these, or your audience would like to look at. So you tell me what would be of interest to you.
Okay. Well, that was a lot of information about your medicines. I mean, yeah, you know a lot. That's amazing. Especially it's like you had the allopathic background as well, mixed with all this. So it's kind of like you're walking in between because you have that background. That kind of helps, even though you weren't for it. I mean, because it still scares a lot of people to be in the emergency state. Do you know what I mean? Like you do have that, you know, like those thoughts when you're in that state. You have the hospital to go, you know, back to. So it's like you're pretty strong in what you know, is what I'm trying to say.
Well, thank you. But, I would never go in there. My father was one of the first victims, when this happened. They went into the nursing homes and did what they did, right? We know that. I did not go there. I was not prepared to put myself at risk or at peril, which would then, if I jeopardize myself, that jeopardizes your children. And then who's going to look after people? So going in those kind of places is not beneficial. I've never, ever worn things like masks. That's a sign of slavery, aside from the chemicals and the toxins and everything else. And you actually make yourself sick. But I mean, I could go ad nauseum about that. Even the studies in the hospital were shown that basically that in an operating room, when they didn't use those, there was less infections. So, once you really know some of this stuff, you really can't sort of bullshit some of us in here. And so that's one of the things in here. So, one of the things, when you look at what's going on in here, and I'm going to take a look, and hopefully you can see my monitor
Screen.
right now. Can you see the screen?
No, I can't see anything yet.
Not yet. Well, that's fun. Okay, so that's why screen share is always so fun to share. Okay, so in here, what happens is when we start looking at some of the different screen shares and different things that we could go into, are you able to see this? Yes, no?
No.
Okay, well then it doesn't want to work today. That's wonderful. Okay.
Maybe it's on my end. Let me check.
No, it should be able to, and it's not normally like it does. But anyway, we'll take a look at that. Very strange. Okay. So having said that, I'm going to just suggest people go to my Facebook. And that Facebook here is actually called Karen Ann McDonald. And at Karen Ann McDonald, what we have is you go to my albums and you're going to see a whole bunch of stuff there. So everything I'm talking about, with the different things like yoni steams and biofeedback, or one of the other things, I'll give you my website that's attached to Ryan's, because if people want to get a hold of me, my email and my contact is there, because I usually will do 10-15-minute free talks or consultations.
Okay.
Or people just want to see their aura or something like that. So I'm happy to do that, and so that's at my site, SATE, and we can go through there. So that is one of the things that might be helpful to going in there. And unfortunately, yes, for some reason, when I hit the plus button, it won't take me anywhere.
It's the present button, right? I saw that. The plus.
I'm on present, and I'm going to share screen, and I've done this before, and it's not working today. There's too many things going on. So, having said about weird stuff, like there's a lot of things going on. People need to be prepared. There's a change in the quantum financial system, like Nasera, not exactly, but similar, going in. There will be changes from that, slavery system into going into a gold back, from the SWIFT to the BRIC system coming in. You may not notice it at your ATM, but the computers and the actual banks that are compliable to what they call Basel III compliance. In other words, they're going to be plain par for par, instead of stealing all this money in the background through these banksters and gangsters. Is now on board. It's starting to surface, and they'll be helping with more what they hopefully will see these humanitarian projects go through. And in there as well, we have been having a pole shift. And I don't know if people have not noticed that the earth is actually wobbling. It wobbles and then it stopped, and now it's wobbling the other way. So you can see the moon, the sun in different positions. You can see several of them.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like Michael, people I know, Mr. MB333, you're seeing the Schulman wave with Marguerite. You're seeing Suspicious Observers, Dark
Mm-hmm.
Sky Watcher, all those people, Rex Beer, the Basis Project, all those shows I'm connected to and I put on my Facebook. So a lot of people laugh when they said, hey, Karen's got more stuff up. Like, we can see what's going on because the solar flares that are coming and will continue to increase as we're going through this part of the galaxy, which is a processional. We go through this thing every, 2,500, 13,000, 26,000 years, It's not the first time. But what happens is right now, I think we had something like 25 or 26 corneal mass ejections, i.e. the solar sun is bursting plasma energy waves. It's one thing if it just blows up, that's fine, or they're shooting at something that shouldn't be up there with the Soul Gate, guardians and gatekeepers. That's great. And the space program and Solar Warden and Radiant Garden and whoever's supposed to be up there. But having said that, there are cases when it's facing the sun. And if those bursts come in, they can be here and it will affect some disasters. But what it can do is it can knock out your electronics.
Yeah.
And there have been places lately, and a lot of people are preparing for these grid down scenarios. And again, whether they happen now, they happen in up till like November or up to 2025, 26, 27, 2030. It's going to go through a period of this. And I've done some recent stuff with Sasha Stone.
Oh, yeah.
Wonderful group of people. So I'll be doing some more. I just talked to Sasha's and Chrissy.
Nice.
And so I'm actually, if you go back 2 months, I'm the Lazarus Symposium number 29. So I was there with Dr. Robert Young and
Cool.
Maria Kessler and Carolyn Mansfield and a bunch of other people. But Robert Young and I have done several shows together over the last couple of years. Okay. So he's I have extreme respect for him. And again, there's new forms. It's not even new forms of medicine. He just has common sense. So, he's got the electron microscopes much better set up than a lot of people do have. And he's got the background to read it. And, so I'm sure you'll find all of us, or at least they get to go on Quack Watch. I might get up there one day, but, or, when they say you're wacky, it means you're connected to the women's, Army Corps, or a quack or a snake oil salesman, or people that used frankincense because they had all these snakes around the frankincense tree, which is why frankincense is one of your best anti-venoms. Nicotine, nicotine. Yeah, no, I have here. I've got nicotine essential oil, like aromatherapy oil here. So you can get nicotine aromatherapy.
Yeah.
And you can actually lick it if you want, or put it on, like, instead of doing the patch.
Yeah.
So those are other options instead of using more drugs and pharmaceuticals, because there are people that don't know how to read a label and don't realize that you can have ivermectin poisoning, or these aren't chipped that we can see. My friends have tested lots of all the different forms of it, and they find centers in all of them. So, so again, there's a lesson to be learned. It's like how to read a label. So those are some of the things I really wanted to, go through and look at. I could show you a little bit more of some of the technology that is kind of fun, because a lot of people like to get a reading done and they like to see what kind of a mood they're in. So I don't want you to take it anymore. It's just for stress reduction, relaxation, and education. But having said that, we have these incredible things that can go on a phone, iPad. And yes, I do have the old computer versions that, look like hospital monitors, and you get set up.
Okay.
Like I said, I don't do people that are injected or PCR'd, because there's too much like heavy metal, like graphene in people. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
And obviously you don't do a mom that's pregnant. You don't do her when she's breastfeeding, and you don't do it when she's menstruating.
Yeah. Okay.
People don't have a lot, so, I mean, there are a lot of people starting to use things like terahertz and stuff like that, and they're just doing it. I've seen them put people into congestive heart failure. I had people put those supposedly like patches, super patches on people, and they put it above their heart. And I actually tried one out just for the sheer whatever, just to see what would happen. And not only me, but there's 3 people that went into congestive heart failure. Their blood pressure went up to 198 over 110. They were stroking and having heart attacks with angina symptoms. Okay, so these are not for everyone or every blood type. So don't be caught up in this swing. Well, everyone's doing better. There are a lot of people that do okay with homeopathics, but it actually decreases my energy field because some people might be higher. So if you're used to a McDonald's lifestyle and like, going to 7-Eleven,
Yeah.
you're in a 3D or a very acidic state. But when you're quite alkaline, some of those things may knock you down. So this is where we actually go in like allergy or sensitivity or muscle testing.
Oh,
so I
cool.
can test to see or put, let's say someone comes in with their vitamins and they want to see if this liposomal vitamin C works or this Lugol's iodine or whatever. I can like muscle test it. It will actually give us, a frequency or within a range. And again, it's energetic. So those are the different things here. So I have 3 different ones, and one is called a Rife machine. So I'm sure you've heard of that.
Yeah.
But people have gone and heard of 432 and 528. So this produces, how about 60, 70,000 of those 528 or 432 frequencies.
Oh.
Okay. So everything has a frequency and they're coded in here. So for example, we put all the Young Living, all the doTERRA. I go out and pick out the plants here that are local indigenous, because your local indigenous plants are the best for you. Not going out across the world and paying gobs of money to supplements. Okay. Almost everything you need is probably within a couple miles, probably 1 to 10 miles around you. All the supplements that you need are there. Herbs, oils, grasses, berries, right there. So, for example, I could go outside and put the goji berries out here, or put my blackberries, or put my elderberries on here, and that will be the highest frequency.
Yeah.
So, if that makes sense. So, those are some of the interesting ones that we have. So, for example, and again, you can go to Insight Health Apps and look at all the mobile applications there. Okay. So one of them is very simple. One's called an Odyssey. And like those little apps, if you just want to do that and say, hey, I've got acne, I just want to hit the right sound wave and wear my, little earmuffs or what I call headphones. Okay. These are safe compared to sometimes using biosensors with people. Okay. So these will do fine. Or what I could do is actually put this around a glass of water. So what I could do is put my sound through the glass of water and imprint it. Okay, so instead of my head, I could put the water there, which is cool. So then you can make an imprinted, or what they call, some people call charged or imprinted, or it's frequency supplements. Yeah. That's what they mean. So anyway, one of the ones is called an Odyssey, and a lot of these are only a couple hundred. And what happens is you just record your voice, and it will be recording the voice, and you'll talk into it and say the vowels or whatever you want, and it will have a timer. So you just say and talk into it for about 15 seconds with A, E, I, O, U, or whatever you want to do. And after 15 seconds, once it's analyzed the voice, it's going to go in and say, hey, I've got stuff for fungus. I've got stuff for candida. I've got stuff for a cold. I have stuff for depression. I have all these things that you might want to look at. And so it will analyze it, and it will preload things instead of going to just a YouTube, which could be anything variable. So these work between 1 and 20,000 hertz. So you're not going to hear most of this. Okay. So this is the same idea. You're going to be like shattering the glass inside. So we can also hook up stuff if you are clean. There are people that do have sensors, and there are things that you can do. But for example, you have deep sleep and hormones and nutrition. So let's say if you want to give yourself a mineral or electrolyte thing, or let's say in this case here, for fungi and mold or your digestive system, or you want to get a hormone balance, and you can go into those. But there's one here that says detox. So if I went into the detox one here, and there's one for pain, I could go in here and you can check off all these different categories. So maybe airway or breathing or circulation or whatever you want to go into, hormone and endocrine system. So you just pick whatever you want. And so I would pick the sounds or what area I want to deal with. And you literally just hit play.
Okay.
So much more fun than I'm going to listen to 432. All that stuff is built in here and then some. Okay, so you can make it sound like raindrops, and you can make it sound like whatever you want. So that's one version. That's called the Odyssey. So these are a couple hundred. And then the other one I have is more advanced. So this is where you can have a home version. You could have a professional version. And anyone in the public can have any one of these packages. But the softwares in here are usually close to about 1,000, which is a lot less than 50,000 back then. Okay, because we needed equipment, and we needed transmitters and boxes and Rife sort of things, right? And wells and all sorts of dials and stuff. Now we don't need to have that. But I could do you, for example, and what you could do is type into the chat just your date of birth and your full name, and we could do something fun, and I could just show you your aura and pick out some herbs and oils and just give you guys something there. But if people want a full, type of therapy, they can always get that. So that's when we book sessions or do professional consults. But having said that, those are fun things we can do. And just to give you a hint of what can be done here. So we get your full, as you know, the name that you arrived with or you were born with, and then the date of birth. So if you just type that in the chat box, and I'll get that here in a minute. Okay. And yeah, that's excellent. So tell me a little bit about yourself while I go to play with this here.
Okay. So my name is actually Gulshan. It's a Turkish name. It means rose. So I struggled a lot when I was younger for the pronunciation. So that's why I just use rose. Like, it's easier for a lot of people to pronounce. Yeah, I also did a little bit of design. I studied because I'm very much an artist, and I'm really into all the alternative medicines as well, and the shamanic stuff. So it's very hard to pinpoint one. Like, being a woman, you know how it is. It's because we're so multi-leveled, and like we're able to do a lot of stuff. And yeah, so I've always had that interest, I guess, in those sort of like fringe topics or whatever you want to call it. Yeah,
that's cool. Just for a second here, I'm just gonna say this is where people can make notes or whatever. I got allergies, I got headaches, whatever. So you just check off whatever you want. So that's where you do your intake, and then you can skip that. Now, what I'm just gonna have you say for 15 seconds is your name and the vowels: A-E-I-O-U.
Okay. Yep.
A-E-I-O-U, and I like to add hue sometimes. So sometimes it looks like A-E-I-O-U, hue, A-E-I-O-U. Okay, so I'm going to do that. I'm going to hit the microphone, and we're going to make a algorithm, a computerized print of you. Okay, go. There we go.
Gulshan Erkan. A-E-I-O-U. 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 That's it. Just A-E-I-O-U. Just keep talking. Okay, I'll probably do that wrong. Sorry.
Okay. So what we're going to do, then I'm just going to take your picture, and from that, we're kind of going to be doing like iridology and kind of like infrared thermally, right? So that's where it gets fun. And then I'm going to put a few things in here. We'll look at your traditional Chinese medical doll thing, and we'll look at your spine. And then, like I said, it's like going shopping, and you can like shop. We're giving you a herbal shop with maybe 50, 60, 70,000 things in it. And so what you're going to do is you're going to tell me what it is. And if you really, really like it, you're going to pick all these red items. Okay. For some childhood disease or something, that's in a hypo or low condition, well, then we'll have stuff in the blue. So we're just looking for things that go outside what we call a bell curve. So I'm only interested in hyper and hypo, but we're fully dynamic beings, and I'll just do your aura today. And then that way, if we want to do sessions or it's something you want to explore down the road, but I've been doing biofeedback in the energetic medical field, and I have a wonderful medical doctor too. Her name is Dr. Deborah Drake, and she's at healthcounts.ca too. So a lot of us are actually working with Ayurvedic ones, and I'm hoping to be doing that in some of the different areas now. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to just take a picture of you and not me. So I'm just going to have you look at the camera for a sec and smile.
Okay.
This is not the government. So a nice big smile, wide eyes.
Okay. Now, wait.
There you go. I got you. You're 40.
Is it okay? Okay.
There you go. That's you. Yeah. And so we're going to have the camera do the computerized analysis. And by the way, this is 98% accurate.
Okay.
So what happens? I'm not disclosing anything I don't need to disclose. So I want you to know that actually, and I do this, it's not unusual here because I've dealt with people that have had issues like EMF, radiation. We've had all sorts of people that have had issues again with, we'll just say, directed energy all over. And I don't need to go too much back into that. But here's something that you'll see like in our clinics. Okay, there's Lorraine and myself. Okay, so you're seeing that we're using that as part of what we do with biofeedback. And then we can look at the blood and all sorts of different things and test your herbs and stuff. So those are some of the things there. So that's her and me. So I'm really big, and, we look after each other. That's what we do.
Wow.
So, and that's why I don't have a health card and don't need one. So those are really simple things you can do. And right now we're going to do, I'm going to go in here. And if people need to have reports, then we can give them a little fun mini report. This is the, frankincense you need and the ashwagandha and the shaga that you need. And by the way, you need vitamin C. So it will tell us an order of what you kind of need.
Okay.
So
yeah.
I think it's kind of fun. And it almost looks like what's going on with the solar flares and stuff. So we just know how to read those around you.
Okay.
Kind of like reading it there. So, we don't have to get too caught into it. And so what kind of normal is you can see like the colors of my flowers here. Well, that's kind of what it should be really intense and look like a hot pink flamingo. Obviously, if you see people that are really washed out, there are a lot of browns, greens, lower colors. That's not what we're looking for. Like here's someone that's actually just drained, you can just see they're just feeling like that yellow drained, no adrenal burnout. That's an adrenal burnout.
Okay.
Right. So when someone's walking to me, that's what their bubble looks like. Right.
Yeah.
So that's what, that's kind of how you read it. You don't have to go, anything too weird for there. Occasionally what we're starting to see, which is unfortunate, I'm seeing a lot of people actually right now that have got all these browns in them, browns and black and dense stuff, and just, the heavily graphinated or something, or pick things up. Right. So that's not a healthy color. I think we all kind of, brown and black is not it. So anyway, and again, that's all simplistically what it is. We have one button. Okay. Before we had to go to universities and take classes that cost thousands of dollars. Now it's one button. It's from flip phone. Like in the old day, we were in the flip phones. Like I was doing this before, computers came out.
Before,
I started doing this in 2005, this kind of stuff. So here's actually simple. Again, one button. We go to the category we want and we say, open it up. So we're going to see what your aura looks like. So that'll be okay. I'll disclose that. The rest will be me. And I'll keep you on out in the air. So if you really want to know what's going on. But this is where we can go, and it's self-analysis. It's like stepping on a scale. It's like putting on the mood ring. Yeah. Sometimes we don't always want to step on that weight scale. Okay. Again, those are some things that we want to clean off. Okay.
Yeah.
So again, and some people will know when they're not just feeling at their, 100%. Okay. Or things are getting them in, or they're feeling weighted down, or there's an emotional, mental, or there's a digestive order or adrenal burnout with a lot of the yellows, right? Hormone imbalance. So again, I'm like, well, what's going on? So if I kind of take your picture out of the way, that's what it looks like. So, we're looking at you like that. Okay. So in here, that's one way to look. And another one that we have on you on our second one, you can see how it's coming down here, this stripe, it's coming right through. It's affecting into the small intestine, but below the belly button. So there could be some weight issues or hormones, but that is coming through the liver gallbladder area.
Yeah, I was just about to say, I think it's gallbladder related.
Right there. Well, that's part of it. It's part of it. Yep. But that's one of the things we need to do. And it's not like, someone's like bipolar or anything because it's cut in half. But that system is not moving through. It's not being cleared out. Okay. And so it's going right through that whole meridian, like head to toe. And you will see that it will look like that too. So when I go into something, let's say like traditional Chinese medicine. So let's say I want to look at someone's traditional Chinese medicine. We'll go into the acupuncture meridians. You will see the conception, vessel, kidney, but going into some of these things and, small intestine, you can open it right up and it will tell us exactly where it is. So I don't have to guess. I don't have to take needles. So this is drug and sound and chemical free.
Yeah.
And so it's as easy to push this button right now is to start doing things instead of doing acupuncture. How cool is that?
Yeah, that is really cool.
Isn't that fun? Or go into the aromatherapy department and let's go pick out your favorite, or, some people want to do a chakra alignment. So you can go to the chakra alignment page and just start doing chakras, or you might want to go to the pain department. Right? So it tells me what's going on there. Okay. So we want to pick up again that solar plexus where I saw that yellow, that's the weakest thing. So we want to get the adrenals and just sitting above the kidneys and all that sort of thing. So one of the things that says, hey, she needs some ginkgo biloba. She needs some chaparral. She needs some arnica, some holy basil, some dandelion. So now you've gone shopping and you said, hey, Karen, can I have those herbs? So I'm going to say, sure. Hey, let's go put those herbs in there for you. And voila, we've taken all the other herbs and we went shopping and we were making a musical sound, musical scale, scalar wave. And so each one of these items here of the ginkgo, of the basil, of the tulsi, whatever it is, will have a sound. And so what I can do is I can actually go like this and it will start playing the sound wave for you. Okay, so a lot of people have got pain. They got pains in the necks, pains in the butts, pain with people, getting on your nerves. Okay, so sometimes what we will say is, hey, it's not just the spinal energy like a chiropractic. I could go up and down here and take a look. And so wherever it's pinched off, you'll see low energy. Wherever it's red, it's inflamed and hyper. So this will exactly match a chiropractor. Exactly.
Yeah, right.
So I don't see the chiropractor. So now what I do is I just hit the button and hook myself up.
That's pretty cool.
Okay. And if I leave this on for, probably about 10 minutes, you'll actually start feeling this inner massaging. So then when you hook up with things, let's say like headphones, the waves are going now right through you physically. And now it can get fun. Okay. So then I could hook up my headphones to the plates and now I can put all these herbs and make a herbal tea to drink.
Yeah. Wow. Okay.
Or bath water or enemas or whatever you want. So just having said that, I'll put a few things in here for you in the audience and you can just listen to it for a few minutes because I think it's really cool. I make libraries. So Ryan made everything on this page, thousands and thousands of things. And custom libraries, all the therapists get to be basically research and developers, but we all put them in here. So let's say I go pick my plant outside. I want to put it on here. I'll code it in. And so now it will create the sound wave or the Royal Raymond frequency, the scalar wave of it.
Okay. Yeah. Right.
So in here, there are some things that picked up some things. So sometimes it says, oh, we might need some cell salts, or maybe you might need, let's say, some more potassium iodide or something that we normally wouldn't see always on just the beginner program. So this is where you get into some more fun things. But literally, I can go in and let's say if there's a vitamin low, you're going to tell me, but it says, wow, you're saying, I really need this herb. I really need this essential oil. I have stress today. And the stress is your sensitivities, i.e. you're having an allergic minor reaction. So it doesn't mean that we're coughing and sniffing. It could be I'm gaining weight. It could be I'm not sleeping at a certain time. And again, that's where the liver comes in. So then those things will be actually like liver, kidneys. It will give me the herbs and the oils for that. So let's take a look at the oils you need because I love it. Rosemary, wintergreen, tangerine, fir, cumin, marjoram. It sounds like we're going to have a Greek salad there for a minute. Okay, so, and again, when they're red, between 600 and 700, it means I really would like to deal with these now.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, so we're basically going to stick all these fun things in. We're going to play it for a minute.
Okay.
And we'll see what you feel. Because you know what? When I do people for 10, 15, 20 minutes, almost 99% of them feel something. And then again, we can do the water that you have with some headphones on your end, and then we'll make an elixir that you can use instead of a homeopathic for like a month.
Oh, cool.
Right? So this saves people basically tens of thousands of dollars of going in and doing, going in and spending lots of all that money for stuff that we don't necessarily need. Because again, you're looking at the blue will be the cause or the root cause. And the red would be your symptoms. So we don't want to just deal with symptoms. We want to go down into those areas of the blue. And let's say if I looked at something like the minerals in the blue, well, it says your iron's low, the zinc is low, the copper's low. Okay. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to give you some of that iron, copper, and all those fun things here that are too low. So let's say I just want it to go like that. I could start in doing like a mineral and make a mineral water for myself. Or put some salt in the glass and make an electrolyte solution. Now, just for fun, because I was doing it fast and using plus signs. But basically, I took this in here and I put in 300 items.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, so that's what this is. There's some cherry plum. There's some Bach flower. There's governing vessels. So I'm doing a little bit of everything that I found. It's like, again, that bell curve. the problems and the solutions together.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's what we're going to do. So I'm going to take my items, I'm going to analyze them, and I'm just going to give you those frequencies. And so we can give them to people by MP4s and stuff like that. But again, in here, we're going to check this off. So there's some different things like some hormones, prolactin, so a little bit of swelling, things like that. There's some crystals that come up. Again, hormones again, follicle, what we call stimulating hormones in here. Getting more oxygen around here, oxytocin. A lot of this is hormonal.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah.
Does that make sense? I'm going a lot of hormonal stuff, and I'm not going to get into it any more than we need to on the air here.
Okay.
But one of the things is histidine, which tells me it's really a response. These supposedly allergies and hormones are a response to actually an allergen. So it's either something you're taking internally or it's something in the environment. And again, we don't have viruses. Those are poisons. So the poisons are what is the out infection or the transfection. Okay. And that's what it's a response to, right? So in here, and there's something at C7, so right at the back of the neck in here.
Yes, I do. Yeah, I do actually have something there.
There's something right there, and it said something about short sleep interval. So whatever it is, I'm going to go do a bunch of stuff here. I'm going to give you something. And sometimes we've been bit by mosquitoes or ticks. Yeah. So I'm seeing a bacteria in here that is usually associated with those.
Oh gosh. Okay.
So it's something that I want to do. And again, you can't just go like this in some arnica. So there's some pain and blah, blah, blah. Anyway, so that's really it. But we could also look at, like I said, maybe the crystal. So maybe some lapis or it's shungite that you need. So whatever modality you want or whatever thoughts, everyone does it here. So I hit one play and that's it. So we're going to listen to this. I'm just going to have you close your eyes and we're literally just going to listen to it for 30 seconds. All of us. So like I said, they're really fun. We can actually, export these things like the whole entire 300 and some frequencies for you to listen to for a week. If people want to do that, they can record the sessions here. I have a timer that goes from 1 minute to 30 minutes. Or if I want to cheat and kind of massage you all night with this kind of beautiful energy, you could bathe yourself in this sonic bath and have it vibrate through you. And we just put the timer to 0 and then it plays all day and all night as long as it's plugged in. So there's some incredible things there. So, and then what we want to do is, actually see what it's doing with the field. And so actually, if, you can do it with or without the sound. Sound's not necessary, but that's when it's in the audible phase. But that's actually what it's doing right now. So could you feel any of that? Did you notice something shifting?
I did. I felt more. Yeah, I couldn't say in specific what, but it definitely, I did feel something. Yeah.
So where did you kind of notice it? Was it a temperature, a subtle, a fluttering, or something? I felt it here, nose, fingers.
I didn't feel it in a specific spot, but I just felt like the head thing, it did lift a little bit. So it helped that area. Yeah.
Yeah. So what you're using is sound waves are more powerful than just light. So kind of like we can combine this, by the way, we have things that won't go too much into it, but we can combine it with blue light, red light, sound, LED therapies. So you're seeing this where you can put your water on top of it. You can actually sleep on top of it. You can put it in your bath. You're seeing sound waves coming up through beds now. Yeah. This type of thing. So this is, a very easy way without people having to spend, $5,000, $6,000, $10,000 and up. in here. And so that's why I don't like to go into rooms, because you don't know what anyone's doing. So here I can go into the back and I actually can change all the waves. So if I need a sine wave or a square wave, or I want a little wave or a big wave, you control everything in the settings here, which is really nice. And so,
I'm sorry.
I'm a mom. So in here, I'm going to go through. It's like, I'm going to be like telepathic for a moment. Remember, you're connected and I'm not. So a lot of people will say, oh, don't do that, or blah, 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 blah. Or, it's just their stuff. It's not. It's your picture and your voice in here, not mine.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's the difference on how you do that. But look at all the things you picked out.
Wow.
So I don't know. There's something going on. This is like the piggyback. It's like putting the Odyssey in with the Genius. Like I said, you've got 28 machines, apps in one.
Okay.
And that's the difference with the Genius, right? Is the other one I just did, like I picked one and did a sound. This one, I'm going through nutrition. I'm going through emotional stuff. I'm going through mental stuff. There's Bach flowers we didn't get into. There's how the brain is operating on different wave systems. But in there, definitely hormone growth, some mood enhancement, better sleep. Is that to do with the child? I don't have to be psycho.
It's not too bad though.
But deep sleep, allergy, and that's where that histamine came in, and probably the hormone.
Okay.
And again, just getting some things balancing. And again, a change in the lifestyle is what I'm seeing here. So I don't know what it is. It could be something within the diet, could be coffee, could be, I don't know what it is. We'd have to go investigate what it is. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, in here, those are kind of where it is. And when I look at things like chemical sensitivities these days, like a lot of people are very worried about, chemical sensitivities or what's in the environment. So again, it will come up. And then there's, of course, the whole food sensitivity issue, right? So a lot of people are in there, like dog, pollen, mold, things like that show up, nuts. And then maybe we might have to tailor something like gluten. There's a huge gluten allergy down here. And so, yep. Okay. So things like that. And again, we would go into a more alkaline-based nutrition. So we would remove the top 5 offenders: coffee, alcohol, wheat, dairy, bread, cheese.
Yep. Oh, God.
And then, but don't go yet. Yeah. Remember, I have a replacement for that, right? So remember, we talked about what can we do here. And one of the things when we talked about like the raw food book, right? Like getting into those foods, we have things here that are raw cheeses. So I don't know if you've ever looked at that, making your own cashew cheese, making some almond cheese. So all the recipes are in here. So let's say instead of cow milk, might you do better with coconut milk or something like that? And so the recipes are in here on how to do that. So from breakfast to lunch to supper to entrees to, making things instead of lasagnas or pizzas or whatever, there's the natural version in here. So that's the difference in here. So if I see something like that, I'm going, see, you maybe never have made cashew cheese, but now you're seeing it in all the health stores. Everyone's having cashew cheese and almond cheese out there.
Yeah, I've seen that.
And seriously, like if you've got a NutriBullet or you got something, it's So some stuff with a little bit of salt, and there you go.
It's probably from the music. Yeah, I'm feeling sweaty. Yeah.
You're cleansing. Well, you're going through a cleanse here. And so even though we're not talking and I'm not making you listen to it, it's still running here, right? And so those are some of the things that are going, what's it doing? So it's obviously creating a friction. And that's why a lot of people, I think it was very important what you said, is that they feel lighter, like something's lifted. Or some people say they think it's like entity attachments or implants.
Yeah.
Right? But maybe we're just adjusting that C7, So it's like, whoa, I feel energy, or I feel lighter, or they'll say, I feel really peaceful because this chaotic energy is being dealt with at some level. So the very cool thing is, like I say, once you get into looking at it, and you'll have someone that will go, let's say, from this kind of an aura here, and then we do some therapy and they go into moving that area and getting that heavy metals cleaned out or something.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's kind of like where we want to go into the goal. And I just wanted to share that because I think this is exciting. This is where a lot of nurses and doctors have moved, like I said, into that. And it's not woo-woo. The space program uses it. What do you think beds are? Like, come on. We don't go up there with stethoscopes all the way up to the space station. And so, it was very interesting because like in this area that I'm living in, this area is called the Siniat territory.
Okay.
So I'm not in the Cree Nahilwak, I'm not in the Blackfoot or the Dakota. I'm in something called the Siniaks, and Siniaks are very rare tribes that I've been to the pit houses and I've been to the ceremonies and stuff like that. And they were very excited because they said, Karen's here and she's bringing in Bear Clan medicine or medicine from the Star Nations. She's coming in, bringing us our energies back.
Wow.
And she's come back to us in full agreement, a treaty. So where she's got her peace pipe treaty, I have my Noah's Ark. So we are here together in peace. And they are here to make sure the land's protected. And these days we're helping them, right? Because a lot of people, like I said, things have happened through attrition, residential schools and things like that. So, I've been to different things like these mass graves. And because of that, I went in and I dealt with the international world courts, right? And everyone goes like, oh, it's going to be the Canadian court or the Australian court or whatever. That's not how courts work internationally. We call them the Space Force, and they deal with it in their quick trial courts. That's the level we deal with.
Wow.
So they're quite fully authorized, and your National Guards are everywhere, all over the world right now, because there's been a crime against the nations. They are task forced with dealing with it now. Right. So like I said, that's actually, where we kind of operate at. So it's kind of fun. So I think that's the exciting thing. But really, I mean, you get down to it and we're just using natural plant medicines and heirloom seeds and teaching people how to sprout at home. And in case, the grid goes down, it's wise to have some, not just batteries, but something, nice candles, that are not like, fragrant stuff. But, how can you be sprouting? Maybe just getting some sprouts and learning how to sprout. So I'm not saying you need a grow tower or growing underground in an underground sunken greenhouse is the way to go these days now too.
Right.
Or, I've got a stove ready to go. If the power goes out, we just always got to be prepared. You prepare for the worst and hope for the best, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, you're fortunate enough though. Yeah, I think it's quite hard if you live in a city. I think it's kind of like you have to draw back from the system. Like you've already drawn back a lot, which is good. It's like you're very self-sufficient.
Well, even here right now, like right now, that's just because I'm on the road and doing stuff, but I'm staying in a friend's mobile home, right? I've got my camper in the truck, but ready to leave whenever we have to. But even here, being in small towns or eco villages at the lake, at the mountains with the stuff, are still just as affected. So I'm looking at relocating because they decided to put in 4, 5, 6G towers here. Which of course I'm starting to burn, and your contacts start melting and your skin starts melting, and the street lights go on and it comes in like a direct energy laser blue beam in here, Project Blue Beam in my living room. So there's only so much you can do.
Yes.
Part of that as well is getting into safer spots where you have to feel it. Because I have all the toys doesn't mean we can measure it. You have to feel it where we.
Yeah.
And so in here, but having said people that are still urbanized,
Sorry.
You can get, which you are, there's things in here you can get like Lemurian plugs and scramble stuff. You can put electroculture around all the things. You can put salt around there. The mesh goes on. You can get EMF fabrics for babies. You can put EMF around the cribs.
Okay. Yeah, I think I've seen something like that.
Get the mosquito netting, which is atrociously expensive, but you certainly can get the fabric that is silver or copper lined, right? And even clothing for children now is, important. Getting clean food. A lot of, clean, green children these days. I spend a lot of time with mothers, like when we were weaning, getting the babies onto hemp milk.
Oh, yeah, I've heard of that. Okay. Yeah. Well, this is the other thing. Like, they really push some stuff in the neonatal care because I've been in there. I won't talk about it, but you probably know.
I've done like by thousands of children. Okay, I've got that. But having said that, that's the thing where we're using crystals and stuff like that, and essential oils for baby, essential oils. For baby, colic, everything else. Putting a drop of peppermint or putting it on their feet, doing infant massages, but also more important is doing mummy massages, right? And so those yoga teams are one of the best. It's true. One of the best things is, and I don't know if you can see here, I probably should, but in the back here, you see that little thing I talked about? There's the yoni steamer.
Yeah, I thought so. Yeah.
Okay. And maybe you can't see over there, but there is actually the chair and it's got a hole in it. And that's where I can sit down and steam. So men and women or children can all sit down, animals. And that's the same thing. This biofeedback can be used for animals in pediatrics or children.
That's awesome. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
A little bit of what we do.
Oh my God. Yeah, it did. I mean, thank you for the little, like the little session that you did on me with the auric and the sound. Yeah. I mean, it's very detailed, actually.
Very detailed. Like, I mean, where can you go out and get your minerals? When did you ever go to a hospital or a doctor or a nurse and actually get this? They don't even do more than a few blood tests, and they, but well, this is out, this thyroid's out, and this hormone's out because this certain mineral's low. And of course, right now is getting drained with the radiation, all this, so everyone's zinking everything else off. So it's not corona stuff.
No,
it's radiation illness.
It is radiation. Yeah, there's like 5 details this way and this way for me, like all directions, and it's just Hang on, just one moment. I'll just pause it because I think baby is a bit upset. Hang on. Okay,
we're back.
Okay, so yes, we're back.
And we you guys were done, and that's how we did. We smudged the whole place out.
Yeah, it needed a clearing. Yes. Okay, so probably we'll just finish up a little bit and try and continue this talk because it was very interesting.
Great, look forward to that.
Yeah. You have a lot of knowledge about I don't know what I'd call it, health, the body, the human body.
And we're more beings. Hopefully the bodies are dead. We bury those, but a lot of stuff to do with experience, to do with herbs, oils, gardening, that type of thing, minerals, vitamins. Again, anything that's in that healthy shamanic thing. So, and again, right now, this is the nice thing about having this technology because you step on it, it will go, hey, I should have that herb today. And it says you need the Valorin root, which is natural Valium. So I'm going, Mom needs.
Oh, is it?
Yes, it's Valorin root, so it's natural.
Oh, it's probably my sleep. Yeah, I'm gonna have a look at that one.
Yeah. We'll get you there. And it's funny because the oil that comes up here it says peace and calming. Okay, I don't know if you can see there, but it says peace and calming.
Yeah, I'm hyper stressed. I'm hyper.
Well,
vigilant.
This is the one. So we can look up. You don't have to buy this. You can actually go on the internet and you can buy or look at the recipe for peace and calming. So it's basically just oranges and stuff like that. And I usually make my own actually. So this is the one that they do, and this is the one that I make here. It's okay. You don't need to go out. But this is the kind of stuff too that again helps you. But it's all natural hormone balancing, and it gives you just. See, I'm smudging for you. I'm smudging it out with peace and calming here. Anyway. Yeah,
that's awesome.
There you go. So,
yeah. Well, thank you so much for your knowledge and explaining and doing the app test on me. That was really cool. And it's good knowledge that you're coming out with, and I think it's important stuff that a lot of people should be aware of because I don't know, like even I learned a lot just by listening to all the things you knew, especially with the law. I think there's a lot of confusion there. Like there's 3 elements that you explained with the common law and then the law they've got and the actual law, the grandmother law. Yeah. So it does get confusing.
Yeah. We use clan mothers versus grandmothers because some people just think of them as like senior citizens or like elders is a different term. Again, those are things like Native and Aboriginal are terms that people have lost their actual first world or first class rights. Okay. And that's international treaty rights. So again, and people confuse that, they think they have treaties with governments when they actually don't right now. And like a lot of that stuff we dissolved back in 2013. So what I will show you, because you asked about that, and it's too bad I can't screen share, but on BitChute, put Clan Mother, and you'll get some of the ones I did there under Clan Mother governance. What I will show you that you will probably be excited to see is that in 2013, I met with some of the West Coast tribes. And what we did is the actual, some of their, if you want to say agreements or treaties, went back thousands of years, and they were put on copper big plates, 20
Wow.
pounds. Okay. So they were written in stone. And those particular ones were actually taken to Ottawa and they were dissolved, just like Washington, D.C. and things like that. So these were some of the actual, how they made agreements back then. That's the Fae Queen, like the Tudor group, Queen Elizabeth's group.
Mm.
And that's when they first started stealing some of the agreements. The other one is the 13th Clan Mother with the bear, you can see there.
Mm.
Okay, so we have those things. They were put, some of them into discs, and it said this time till this time they're allowed to be here. Well, they're overtime and they aren't supposed to be here. So one of the things as well that we did is those copper plates were absolutely amazing. And they went to Ottawa and they were smashed. And so you can actually Google this where it says, I'm just trying to see if I can find it quick enough, but it was called the banishing ritual. In other words, we told them they were basically illegal aliens and that we didn't want them there. So you will see this, and you can Google some of this on Meredith Quinn, tribal laws.
Okay.
So and you can see how old that is, but you can see some of the stuff that's been passed down. So again, you have to know some of the Tartarian things and big things. But when they went, here they are. You'll like that. Okay. I held those. Those are the copper plates, and they were said, you are no longer welcome here. You, your descendants,
Mm-hmm.
the people that work for you, your agents, and I put referring agents in there, that have violated the laws of the land, the law of the women, the law of the clan, the land, the children, our men. So our men now can go as peacekeepers and also as warriors. And they have by international law to remove anything that is violating those original laws that go back thousands of years. Okay, so I don't care about the Canadian flag or the American flag or patriot flags or things that have snakes that curl up or kingdoms of this and kingdoms of that, because when you know what they're doing and you're looking at the crimes against humanity and what's going on and the violations of the land and things that are underneath the land,
Yeah.
okay, we know what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I can at any one time, like I said, we get briefed when there are issues, and those decisions have been made a long time ago. Oh, I was going to show you. There's my Yoni chair up close. Can you see that?
Yeah. This.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's the mummy chair, and then you need one for your mom. So you need at least 2 chairs there, and that's the way to go with that. Because again, it's really, really important because we're out here. Like I said, I'm out in the Sinaitic territory. You can see what they're doing out here.
Mm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I sit with some of the people that are out here. That are some of these women. They've been out there and we're protecting the land. I'm out on the road. I'm meeting with people. I'm meeting and talking to groups all the time. We're teaching people where to go for spring water.
Yeah.
Find
we
a
should spring water. Yeah, around.
That is so important that people go down to the springs and know where the springs are, because that's how you do it. You build it up in the community, right?
Yeah.
And until people know, there's a map. People think it's Canada. Those are some of the maps, and it's whole linguistic. Those are what your maps are based on originally.
Yeah.
Need to give their here. So, like I said, we've done our stuff here, our due diligence, and I mean that's where we get to meet with people, like myself in here, doing shows and stuff like Dr. Robert O. Young, on and meeting with those people, having the talks, getting educated, crimes against humanity. I have done hundreds and hundreds of shows. You will see me all over teaching over the last 10 years because it's so important what we do, because we're taking back those courts that belong to us. Okay. And they're on our land, not theirs. And they're the ones that have to start adhering to things. So I'm well aware and on the road, meeting with people, see what's going on.
Right, just right up.
So
Yeah.
again, be as active as you can in the environment. But when it comes down to everything, the bottom line is it comes down to nature. And it
Yeah.
comes down to protecting that and protecting our water. You
Yes.
know, that's the key to everything in here. And yes, I can go teach people on how to put Faraday cages up and putting screen meshes on and fixing their houses. But the bottom line is that there are things coming down here that we have to measure and deal with. You know, so we're watching all those things. I'm on the road. See how I'm measuring all the different radiation and everything all over the
Mhm.
place?
Mhm.
You know,
Mhm.
so I'm well aware of it. And I mean, like a lot of these are off the charts. We're well aware of it. And a lot of the stuff, we don't even have the stuff to measure it. I mean, you can see that things are not the way they should be. And of
Oh,
course, we're going to be having reactions to this. So, I mean, when we're out here, I mean, all these people, you do what you can. And again, you don't have to agree with everyone by a long shot, but look at the people that are out there making a difference. Okay. We have to just be able to say, hey, this is not acceptable. These are
yeah.
people in our clan and in our tribe and our tribesmen and our clansmen out there making a difference. You know,
Mhm.
and when you go out and you went, we want a better future. We're doing it for the children because we don't want to see what's been happening to them, that this transgenderization. And, you know, I meet with people too, Swami Nardadan, some of the top people in Ayurvedic, your top naturopaths in the world, and the ashrams. So I can learn from them and, you know, stand behind what we're saying. You know, it's not just about doing the scientific end and this is that, and it's not all black and white here, as you know, because
Mm.
people are having some serious side effects here. And I just did some shows with, you know, Dr. Rima LeBeau. You know, I've been out on the road here, you know, going to sacred sites, pyramids, you know, all sorts of things out here on the road,
Cool.
and making sure that, you know, things are looked after and they're being protected in the best way that we can. And people have to be able to be accountable for what they're doing. And
Yeah.
at some point, like I said, being out here with the thing, like just to do with the florist and the cutting, there's Eloise Charret. She's one of the most famous people out here in this
Oh,
area doing the walk for waters. And these
okay.
are the grandmothers and stuff like that. She saved 27. There's a movie made about her, actually. It's called Not Without My Children.
Mhm.
Anyway, she wrote a book there. Okay. So again, we've got to be able to respect that onus is on all of us. And we have to be able to help those around us because a lot of people have been injured, you know,
Mhm.
and, you know, there's been so many women and stuff like that. I've learned from some of the best. There were
No.
movies made about me that this is the women that had the, you know, how they beat the CCRA and not paying taxes and stuff and
Yeah. Okay.
spiritual economics because we know that, you
Mhm.
know, and I'm so grateful. They made a movie about me actually called the Future Shift
Oh,
about
that's
saving people at the end days. But once you get down to it, it's that simple, you know, and like I said, there are so many people don't realize, like, and I just talked about, like, you know, the Choice Canada and the National Citizens Inquiry. Once we go into these things, that's how I meet with people.
mm.
Because again, do they always know? No, but at least you can drop that. And sometimes it's like planting seeds, and sometimes it's going to take, you know, um, it's going to grow, and other times it's not.
Yeah.
And everyone's at a different level and we can't do it. So, I mean, I'm really grateful to go out with the guys, you know, and some of the top foraging at the Light Cellar here. And Danae and Malcolm, people will know this in Western Canada, right? And when it can't go, I attend in the background. And here they're doing spruce buds, like taking the spruce buds out, and they're making like something that tastes better than artichokes. You know, again, how to make tinctures and stuff. And these are people living in Calgary. They go out and forage, but they come back and they teach the people in town. So, like I said, sprouting, all that can be done there, you
Okay.
know. So
Yeah.
don't think that because you're in town, you can't do anything, you know.
Okay. Yeah.
And
Can't.
like I said, when you have the advantage of being with some of the top doctors, like Dr. Debbie Drake and stuff like that,
Mm.
at Health Cats, she's one of the other MDs as well out there that, you know, we're teaching this stuff. This is, you know, the people that apologize for being an MD actually, but make that difference in there. and do what you can. Like, you've got a certain amount of people that, are around you. And I mean,
Mm.
some of the things out here, like I said, you can go out with your friends and stuff like that and be out on the mountains, enjoy this stuff, enjoy where you're at.
Yeah.
Our mountains here, I don't know if you realize, but these mountains here go all the way down, and we're at the top of the water that feeds all the way through the West Coast. And my other one at the top of the mountain feeds all the East Coast of the entire United States.
Oh, wow. So it's like, yeah.
We're the water protectors here.
Yeah. Oh, I love
right?
that. Oh, I
So
wish I was in
you got to
mountains.
have fun, and you got to go out there and do things with your friends and enjoy every moment.
Well, it's so hard at the moment. I feel like because I'm in the city, you're not, and everyone's just depressed, and it is very difficult for people to even connect anymore. It's very separate, I would say. I mean, it's not like you can't connect and you can't do these things, but it is getting more difficult in the city.
Well, some of the things too, this is why I got it. There's Ryan Williams that developed our, Genius Biofeedback. Go to the Insight Health apps. But again, there's my stuff. We talked about the lotus. There's my lotus.
Yeah. I love this. Yep.
Those oils make a huge difference. I just taught yesterday for one of the groups for Peace Valley Spirit. We were talking about the people, because so many people have been losing people left, right, and center and died suddenly. And it's the grieving and the grieving process that doesn't seem to end for people. And the oils make such a difference. They really do. That's the fastest ways to raise your spirit. The other thing is to take, some people need baking soda, but you've got to have friends around you. And if you can't have those friends around you, that's what I'm saying. You got to have a support system around you. This is another girl that does a lot too, Janine Strong. She's got Keeping It Real with Janine. So I go out on the road and I meet with these people because, like they've got, a YouTube, or they're content creators, or, when we met the other day with Rob on Typical Skeptic, right? I just happened to be free, but I mean, I got to meet with you, and then I've been spending wonderful time getting to know Robert Bauer and his
He was also the consciousness guy, right? Yeah, I really liked his stuff.
Amazing. I think it's just, in there. I spent probably after New Year's, I spent, I think, almost 2 days or a day almost straight. It was like 4 hours and another 5 hours, but getting to know people, and again, I can tell when someone's vibing. Like, when I'm on a good day, that's what I look like.
I want to look like that.
Right?
Yeah.
That's like what normal should look like. And when we're not feeling that great, well, it's all going to take its effect on us too, right? So again, this is the whole point of doing things naturally and educating people. Like I did shows like Shungite Reality, right? With Nancy Hopkins, right? Learning all about crystals and stuff. And
I've got a big Shungite pyramid. Yeah, it does work.
Beautiful stuff here, at what we did there. But again, and, meeting with people too, on the road. There was David Wolf. And again, you don't have to agree with everything that everyone does. You can take the best part and say, hey, you've taught me more, like Victor Schauberger and everyone else, and Rudolf Steiner and everything else I've spent years learning about. But now it's our time, and we're learning that. And it's something that, seriously, my Baba and my Gita, like, this is the whole part about knowing your genetics. There's my great grandparents. There's my great grandparents. There's a town called Kreider after them, right?
Oh, that's so sweet. Yeah.
Things are still standing that they did.
Wow.
There was life before Saskatchewan, life before Canada, and I did my genealogy with them. Her place is still standing. His signature is still in the cement here that I've got. Actually, Theodore Lusick in the early 1900s still sits there. I told him they can't touch that. Again, there are things that we need to be keeping after, and part of that is looking after things. Like, people don't realize some of the things. I've been in the South Saskatchewan and Saskatoon when there was no water. Where did it go? It was drained to the Dums that day, likely. Okay, so happened to go for a walk at the right time, like I said in here. But, and again, this is part of the thing I taught when I was teaching about, what we do, who we are. Okay, That was my mother, Eleanor Lusick Buzikavich McDonald. Okay. And there was my nursing photo too, by the way. So, okay.
Yeah.
We were both in there. So, again, it's so important who you are, where you come from, where you're going, who the friends are from you.
Yeah.
Enjoy and getting back to being that inner little girl. Okay. So
it is about playing. Yeah, it is.
It is. And if you can still hold on to that, that's where it becomes fun.
Yeah.
And I think, once we start learning some of that and, some of the original ways, like, I met with some of the people, Pat, these are some of the original Bear Clan out in the area with the Red Tribes. And she's known as the birch bark keeper. And Eloise is the one that makes all the cedar wood, and Nancy and all these things. They make cedar wood. They're out here protecting this forest, but they're keeping those traditions alive.
Yeah.
And there's nothing like, going in and still learning about that. I did an incredible thing with one of the guys this summer right before he passed. But like I said, this was fun. It was actually, like I said, Larry was the JAG lawyer, the EC master. That was my JAG lawyer. I told him if he was Moses, and he said he was, he's the walking. Well, I gave him a staff. Said Moses have to have a staff, so I made one for him. But, that's where you get into being with people and helping people. And there's nothing like helping the people around you.
Yeah, I agree.
And whether we're near or far, it's that energy. And I'd like to, I'm so glad to have met you.
Me too.
Who thought, like, not that I'm on New Year's Eve, I just sat there. I went, okay, that sounds like a fun thing to do.
I just really resonated. And you know what? It is about helping others. You don't know, like, I just had a moment the other day. Someone gave me the most beautiful smile, and it was so genuine. And you just don't know how that affects someone. Do you know what I mean? Like, I literally cried thinking about it. And I thought, like, you just don't, you never know. Your field just affects so many people. And it's just the random little things that help one another, and that's what inspires me every day.
We need to be there and to help people, be uplifted and stuff like that. Because
Yeah.
you don't know what it's going to be. Like you said, it's a smile, it's the one thought. And, it was funny, like there was 3-4 of us, and like, what are we doing tonight? But we tuned in, and it was like, Robert, I could listen to you all night. And I said, I could listen to you all night. It's like, I want you on the show. And I said, I'll be happy to be on your show.
I could listen to both. Yeah, you both are really good.
Professor, Bauer is on YouTube, with the, and he just did some beautiful stuff here to do with moving into different, using Ayurvedics and natural medicines and natural medicinal mushrooms and stuff too. Like I love going to shaga and lion's mane and turkey tail and stuff, because they're right here on my trees, and it's right here. So, I have the advantage of doing some of that, but that's where we got to have fun, right?
Yes. Yes. We need purpose in life. We do.
You got to be able to get up every morning and still look at ourselves in the face. And yes, this is happening. And I went, my gosh, and we were just saying, Janine and I were just talking. I said, I think, and she goes, I think I've aged more in the last couple of weeks. And I talked to Sherry, strong woman out of Edmonton, right? And I said, geez, I'm hearing some weird stuff in Edmonton besides Tucker Carlson going there and wanting to liberate women. And I'm like, let's not have that here. Anyway, I said, because I know what liberties mean, to take liberties with women. I didn't fall off the ship too long ago, Anyway, but it was kind of funny, right? And so you get to play with this kind of stuff. And then, I just did the serious stuff with, as fun as we could make it, with Ariel Jessica Morocco. And she's got ACIO. She's a contact liaison, like an ambassador for the advanced contact intelligence organizations. And Peter Berger is responsible for a lot of stuff similar to Pine Gap in Australia. So we just spent like 2 hours having a blast with her, and this is what it's about. We're using each other as soundboards, right? And people didn't have the opportunity or the honor to sit here while we were off camera for like 15 minutes. But, in there, you get to know each other. You get to know the family, the children, the grandparents, right? Because it's not just us, it's our whole environment in the tribe or in here. And one thing, like I said, just go try 2-3 of these things, or if someone's do some baking soda water, or black lemonade is my favorite thing for moms that are tired.
Okay.
Black lemonade. Look up the recipe.
Yeah. Okay.
Black lemonade.
Is it black salt? Is that what? No.
Nope.
Okay. I'll have
So it's black lemonade. So it's basically a glass of water, half an organic lemon or some organic lemon juice, a little pinch of salt, little cayenne pepper, drop of lemon essential oil if you have it, a little bit. If you want that, you can have maple syrup, or some people put stevia in, or whatever you want, just a little bit, or some molasses. And then the key is either take a couple pills of either activated charcoal, or open it up and make it black so it looks really funky.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And it's the ultimate therapeutic, feel-good antidepressant medicine on the planet.
Okay, I'm gonna try it. Yeah. I need that.
It helps chelate out stuff. It elevates you, and in 3-4 days, it's amazing.
Really?
So a lot of people, they've lived on this for 6-7 months, so they call it the lemonade diet. But all you need is a glass or 2 a day. If you don't have lemons, put some limes in, whatever.
That's awesome. Okay.
I want you to do that. See, I would be screen sharing, but apparently it won't work today. But whatever.
Oh, yeah.
You cannot go wrong with black lemonade.
I'm gonna check that one. Yeah.
And then do that for a couple of days. Get a couple oils. Get some, nice salts and, whatever you want, borax and baking soda in the tub. And that's what it is. When I actually put my litmus paper into my bathtub, it turns purple. It's not yellow acidic.
Yeah.
My bath water that I sit in is the same thing inside and out. And that makes all the difference. Bathing babies, having the baby sit with you in an alkaline tub makes a big difference too.
Oh, yeah, exactly. It would.
Simple,
okay.
Like I said, with children, right? So.
Yes. Yeah, you got to start simple, I think.
Oh, absolutely. So I hope, a couple of those little things helped, over there.
I'm going to have to rewatch it because you just had so much information that I couldn't keep up. I was just amazed. So I'm definitely going to watch it and pause at the, you referenced a lot of people, so I'm going to have to check them out. But thank you again.
You're welcome.
It's been really good talking with you.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's not too late there. Yeah.
Nope.
I'm going to post this up and I'll send you the link. So I'll do it onto YouTube. I don't think anything was sensitive, so it should be fine.
Right. And then I tried to keep it clean. And then I have my own YouTube channel. If people want to check it out, go to the live streams. Like I said, Facebook, Telegram, Signal. I'm on Twitter. And then the new Facebook is K.A. Lusick for Karen Klan, but K.A. Lusick. But you can find me there if you want to see any of this. And then I'll go underneath your video and I'll give you my link so that if anyone wants to have an aura scan or they have questions.
Yeah, that would be good.
Yeah. Or if they want to, do full-blown sessions or whatever.
Yeah.
They just want to play it out. And then the other thing on that website I'll give you is everyone can have 2 weeks to play with this. So if they want to try out one of the Right for the Scalar Waves, the Genius, you could put it on your phone or iPad or tablet for 2 weeks and play with the beginner version.
That's cool. Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Thank you for your work. We'll keep in touch and then take care for now, okay?
Bonne nuit. Thank you. Bonne
nuit. Ciao. Bye-bye.